To order the meeting, at our City Council meeting of June 24th. We are going to start with the invocation by Michael Giordano, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Brian Raymond. Please rise.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for this opportunity to open the service and open the City Council in prayer. So everybody, let's close our eyes and pray. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, I thank you for this opportunity to stand before the City Council, dear Heavenly Father, and open in prayer. As I think about the city of Atwater, dear Heavenly Father, with all the buildings and everything they have to look after and the laws and everything, I know Atwater is more than just the buildings. It's the people that are here, dear Heavenly Father. And I thank you so much for that this city is doing its best to watch care over all these people. Lord, I just ask you to put your hand upon all the decisions they have to make, dear Heavenly Father. And Lord, one thing I always say is we never truly thank you enough for all that you do for us. So Lord, I ask you now to be with them in that way only you can be. And thank you for this opportunity to open in prayer here. In your wonderful name, Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Okay, can we have the roll call, please?
Ambrose,
Here.
Button, Kale,
Here.
Raymond,
Here.
Nelson.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, we had no closed session, so there's no report there. Do we have any subsequent need items?
Mayor, there are no subsequent need items.
Okay. Now we're on to approval of the agenda as posted or amended, and I'm going to recommend we amend the agenda by removing the sewer and water rate survey amount. There's some, we don't have a full council here tonight, so we probably should have a full council here for that. So other than that, it's the same as posted.
Motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
Can I just get clarification real quick? So we're just removing item 8. We're not going to postpone that to the next meeting, or?
It's going to have to get continued to a date where we can re-notice under the Prop 218 statute. So it'll come back. It'll be re-noticed in probably the first or second meeting in August, depending on I can't do the math right now off the top of my head.
Thank you for the clarification.
Thank you. Can I get the first and second again? I apologize.
Raymond and Kale, I believe.
Thank you. Kale,
Yes.
Ambrose,
Yes.
Raymond,
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, so now we're on to presentations. Normally we have presentation by Supervisor Darren McDaniel, but he's stuck in traffic someplace this evening. On his way back from Sacramento, I believe. And so instead we have today Nathan Bray. He's the Director of Public Works and the Road Commissioner for Merced County. Going to talk to us about the Atwater-Merced Expressway, I believe.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, staff, and members of the public. I was going to say, obviously, I'm not Darren McDaniels, but you beat me to the punch. But we are both tall. So I am Nathan Bray, Director of Public Works and Road Commissioner for Merced County. And like he had previously stated, Supervisor McDaniels was not able to be here. He's stuck in traffic. He does apologize. He had asked that I give an update on some regional transportation projects. So I know you have a packed meeting tonight, so I'll try to make it brief. The Atwater-Merced Expressway project team is making progress on the environmental approvals, and we are working on finalizing the air quality studies required for the new roadway facility. And in March of 2024, so just a couple months ago, the California Transportation Commission approved an additional $16 million in STIP funds, or State Transportation Improvement Program. And those funds are programmed for fiscal year 27-28. The current anticipated schedule has the environmental phase finishing up around the end of 2024. And the right-of-way phase is anticipated to take about 1 year after the environmental is complete. And assuming there aren't any hangups with condemnation or eminent domain, the right-of-way phase should be completed around the end of 2025. So what that does is that would position the project to start as early as the fall of 2026. The STIP funding that was programmed in 27-28, that's a year out. And so if everything goes right, what the county would do is we would request the state to move the money forward and have that money available for us, and starting as early as the end of 2026. The only other update I have is the Bellevue Road Realignment Project, which is making progress. And although your staff is taking the lead on this Measure V regional project, we're working closely and in coordination with them. We have a good working relationship with your staff, and I appreciate them, so thank you. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Council have any questions for Nathan?
I have a question. I'm just glad to see the Bellevue Road project moving forward, and I know Interim City Manager Thompson and you guys have been working closely, so that's huge for the city.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Perfect. Thank you.
Appreciate you coming. All right, now we're moving on to the consent calendar. Notice to the public.
Background information has been provided on all matters listed under the consent calendar, and these items are considered to be routine. All items under the consent calendar are normally approved by one motion. If a council member requests separate discussion on any item, that item will be removed from the consent calendar for separate action.
All right, is there any public comment regarding the consent calendar? Seeing nobody coming forward, I'm going to close public comment. Are there any items on the consent calendar that the council would like to remove for separate discussion and possible action? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Motion to approve the consent calendar is posted.
Second. Second.
Motion by Raymond, second by Ambrose. Kale?
Yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Raymond?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, now we're on to public hearings. Item 8 has been pulled for future consideration. And we'll go to item 9, which is confirming the engineer's reports and ordering the annual levy for the lighting and drainage and landscape maintenance assessment districts for fiscal year 2024-2025. Greg?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the council, for your consideration of this item this evening. Very much in sync with the previous council meeting where we introduced the notices for the annual levy. This is, in fact, accepting the engineer's report and adding the levy, which means, in layman's terms, what this allows us to do is to send that list to the assessor's office and allow to be paid through county taxes for these special districts. There are no surprises. It is basically in accordance with what we do annually every year with these special districts. There are 31 within the city of Atwater. Normal consumer price index increases were added. We did not add and did not increase this thing to the full level of what we are allowed to do under these special districts. This is an annual regular maintenance activity on behalf of the council. The only thing I would recommend or suggest is just be cognizant of the timing on this, because it is very important, and we've done this with enough lead time this time around that we can get those in with very little calamity with regard to getting it to the assessor's office in time. Without the adoption of this particular item, it would in fact negatively impact the general fund, which is, as you all know from the budget, it is in fragile state right now. So that's all I have. If you have any specific questions about this, but again, this is a very routine item for the council.
And just to clarify Greg's report, that was the opening? Clarify that was the opening of the public hearing with Greg's report. Okay, does council have any questions for staff? Is there any public comment on this item? Okay, see nobody coming forward. I'm now closing the public hearing. Which council member would like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Kale, second by Ambrose. Kale?
Yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Raymond?
No.
Nelson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right. So now we're on to reports and presentations from staff. Item 10 is an update regarding fireworks and the Nalem app. And Chief,
It's me, Mr. Mayor. Both chiefs are
They're
either
out.
on vacation or up at fires right now.
taking care of
so
fires.
it-
Okay, so Chief Salvador, please make your presentation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, members of the council, Mr. Mayor, members of the community. Mike Salvador, your police chief. Janelle, if you could bring up the heat map, please. Currently, the police and fire departments are both receiving information from an app called Nalem. It is an app provided for free to the city through the major fireworks manufacturers, TNT being the #1 contributor to the app. We deployed the app last year, and this is the data from the 2023 4th of July holiday based on reports given to us by the public through the app. It shows 3 major hotspots throughout the city. And in the starting next week and the days in front of the 4th of July holiday, we're going to have directed patrol areas into these hotspots in an attempt to mitigate the effects of illegal fireworks throughout the city. As you can see, our 2 major ones are around the Castle Vista, Castle Gardens area, and then the area around the golf course. We had a lot of activity there, lots of seizures there. So what we are encouraging people to do, this is year 1's heat map. We encourage you to download the app, use the app, so we can generate intelligence information again for next year. This is not a single year project. This is a multi-year information gathering system that the police and fire departments are going to use year to year to allow us to put our people at the right place at the right time. And Mr. Mayor, I'll take any questions if you have them.
Council members have any questions? I'll say thank you for working on this. You know, we did this last year. This is the data from last year. And I doubt it's going to change very much for this year either, because that's just the way things go. But I think it's important to remind the public, illegal fireworks are just that. If they're not safe and sane, they're illegal. And if you get caught with them, the responsible party at that location will have the fireworks confiscated, and they'll receive a $1,000 ticket. And I think last year, the PD wrote 5 citations, I believe.
Yes, sir, you're correct. We wrote 5 citations under the new city ordinance, and we received 100% payment.
So maybe we didn't charge enough. I noticed that I think it was Modesto was charging $2,000 this year on theirs.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Anyway, just let that out there. The app works pretty good. Just remember, it is not a real-time app. You put the information in, it'll go into the system. A cop is not, or a fire department's not going to come over there right then because you put it in the app, but it helps develop this kind of the heat map here so we can focused enforcement. And I think once that works out pretty good, you focus on it, the word gets out, and people think twice about doing it next year. So I hope anyway.
We most certainly hope so.
We hope so. Okay, and okay. Is there any public comment on this item? Any questions the public has about this? Nope. Okay. We will move on to the next item, which is item 11, City Attorney Reports, approving City Manager Employment Agreement with Chris Holm and Frank.
Thank you, Mayor. What we have before you is a proposed contract between the city and employee Chris Holm It's a 3-year contract for city manager appointment. The appointment is effective as of today. The contract would be entered in today, effective today, and he would commence work tomorrow. It's a 3-year term with annual renewal options unless the city council notifies Mr. Holm of the decision not to renew. There's I believe a 90-day notice, opt-out essentially notice that the council would have to provide. The city's manager's salary is at step 5 of the current salary schedule, which is $199,445.79. The contract, although it's not in the staff report, I will make clear the contract does say that upon a satisfactory performance review at the annual anniversary, he would be eligible for a step 6, which I believe under this current schedule is $209,000 and some change. But I don't have the exact number, but it's on the city's posted website. And it also indicates, and this has been the practice, at least in recent history, just a standard 6-month severance, with the note that if there are, let's assume, less than 6 months on any remaining term, he would only be entitled to the equivalent in months remaining on the term. So if 3 months left, he'd only be entitled to 3-month severance. That's for terminations. If he's not terminated for cause, he would be eligible for severance under that situation. The benefits otherwise that are outlined in the contract are pretty consistent with the rest of the department heads and citywide. Those are, and then the only other thing I'll note is there's a moratorium on termination within 4 months of any election where there's any change in the city council. And that's the contract.
Okay, thank you. Council have any questions for Frank? Okay. Is there any public comment on this item? If so, you have speaker cards?
Yes, Mayor, I do have speaker cards. Our first speaker card is for Don Martin.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Martin. Reminder to everybody, you have 3 minutes. You might need, oh,
My voice doesn't quit altogether. Is this a done deal, so to speak? Has it been voted on?
not yet.
Okay, good, all right. All right, the question, I'm going to read from my notes here if you don't mind. The question of selection for the position of city manager seems to be the topic of conversation around the city. All right. We have on board an interim manager in the person of Deputy City Manager, Mr. Greg Thompson, who, from all indications, is doing a fantastic job. This is what we hear. We also appear to be the ideal selection for a permanent position. He would be for permanent selection as city manager, my opinion. However, I have the feeling that this Mr. Holm appears to, in spite of having been terminated from his last position, is in line for the position of city manager. The position he was terminated from was community development director. Wasn't even city manager. Not that not that of a city manager. Credentials aside, I understand he has the credentials. Let's make no huge mistake this time, please. We've had a past history of this. I would suggest that Peter Principle is involved here. I have not met either gentleman, so I have no bias one way or the other. But I think we have an outstanding person in the position already. And I do question the termination. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other cards?
Carol Gray.
Carol?
I too have concerns about the city manager. And I don't like what I read in the paper about the one that you are thinking about that had been fired. I know Greg Thompson. I've known him for a very long time. And every title company has said the same thing. He's an excellent worker. He knows what he's doing. He can do any job. And he might not have all of the credentials, but he does have on-the-job experience. And a lot of that is a lot of common sense, which people with degrees don't have.
Thank you. Corey, can you adjust the microphone back up? Okay, next card.
Next, we have Linda Dash.
Good evening.
Good evening.
On June 12th, Linda Dash, Atwater. And excuse me, I've got the Atwater flu. I'm over it now, so, but my voice will go in and out. On June 12th, 2024, this council went into closed session. You spent a few hours, you came out. City Attorney Frank Spendorio stated, "Nothing to report." And the mayor adjourned the meeting. On June 18th, newspapers announced that a new city manager would be hired. An individual from Ceres was fired from his job in February of 2024. When did the council meet to make this decision of hiring, excuse me,
We're listening.
Okay.
I can hear you.
when did the council meet to make this decision of hiring a new city manager, since there was nothing to report on June the 12th? After checking, you have not had much to report out of many closed sessions lately. How can this council go backwards after finally you placed Greg Thompson in the position of acting city manager and he hit the ground running? He is someone who has the energy, smarts, and connections with other agencies, whether it be city, county, and state, and you replace him with a person with a reputation of not getting his reports in on time, allowing and causing a toxic work environment, and not knowing what he's doing. Like was mentioned in the newspaper, he was a fish out of water. Mr. Nelson, you made a statement in one of our council meetings about our former city manager. You said during the past 8 months that you've been the mayor, you found that the city manager, in your opinion, was not up to task, not the person to lead the city. And you noticed that there was actually a pinch for procrastination, unwillingness to be forthcoming. You found her to be unable to communicate to the council. And she demonstrated to you time and time that she doesn't have what it takes to be a city manager. Now you're considering hiring somebody that has never been a city manager, has a reputation of not getting reports out on time, just recently lost his job, and felt like a fish out of water. Being part of a toxic working environment is unbelievable. How will our Atwater employees feel now that they've had and heard that a toxic workplace existed at his last employment? How are these employees going to be able to trust this individual? I can't figure this out. The man's never performed the job of city manager. He lacks the qualifications. You're starting him at $199,000, step 5, as a newbie or a trainee, and if he makes it, he'll get a whopping step 6 raise to over $200,000. You're going to give him a car to take care of city business. That's going to transport him from San Jose to Atwater daily. We don't need somebody coming in to learn. We need a qualified city manager, Greg Thompson. Thank you.
All right, thanks for your comments. Any other cards?
Kalisa Rochester.
Melissa Rochester. Good evening.
Hi, good evening, City Council, Mayor Nelson. My name is Kalisa Rochester, and I live in District 2. I do have some concerns regarding the appointment of the city manager, and while I haven't been intimately involved in the process, some of the concerns is that I do understand that you hired an independent firm to do the recruitment process. I didn't see a list of the candidates that applied. However, I read the article that you stated that the list was exhaustive. I did hear you say that you wanted to pull item 8 from the agenda because Mr. Button wasn't present. And I would think that a decision in appointing a city manager would be just as important to this council. So I would appreciate some more time. I don't think that we're in a huge rush at the moment. We have an interim city manager in place. And I have also heard the city attorney talk about past practice. And I recall in 2017 that the mayor asked for a deeper dive into the background of an individual who had been fired from Ceres, who was our interim city manager before. So I would just appreciate the council taking some time to reflect. It's a big decision and it's our city's future. So I thank you for your time and consideration.
All right, thank you.
That was the last speaker card, Mayor.
Okay, all our speaker cards are exhausted. If anybody else wishes a comment on this item, now's the time. Come forward. You got 3 minutes. Now it's 3 minutes.
All right. Mr. Mayor, Council, she beat me to the punch. I was just going to say the same thing. You started the meeting about this water rate being so important and had to put it off because of whatnot here. This is probably more important than that. Paying this guy $199,000 a year, and you're going to leave it in the hands of 4 you guys. We had problems from Ceres in the past. Prior councils hired Doug White, and you can see how much it cost us for Doug White to be here. Prior councils hired to work. This guy comes in, gets rid of chief of police, he's caught lying, then he loads up in the middle of the night and takes off. And then how much money did it cost us afterwards in legal fees and a payoff to Sammy Joseph that he caused? You guys really need to think about this. I don't know if this is true or not. I heard that Mr. Raymond didn't even know about this guy being fired before you guys made your selection. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, and perhaps maybe before this motion is taken, you can give that answer. Because if you didn't know about him being fired, then how many other council people didn't know about that? I suggest that Mr. Holm get up and explain to the people why he was fired. You have said that it's a personnel issue. Well, he can certainly talk about it. Maybe he should get up here to ease everybody's mind and let them know why he was fired. Again, you guys should postpone this thing until Button's back and then make your decision what you want to do. Thanks.
Okay, does anybody else wish to comment? Now is your opportunity. Good evening.
I've been sitting with Mr. Holm tonight, and I find him to be a very likable, very charming person, and I want to let him know that this is business. Atwater City Council, City Manager Clown Show has arrived once again and set up its tent. The history of the City Council doing selection for the city manager position began in early 2017 and went till November of the same year. In between that time, there was interviews that were conducted by way of Murray and Associates, who were the headhunters to go and get us a new city manager candidate. And out of that, we did some interviews. We did 7 interviews. We wound up with 2 very good candidates, Mr. Bill Malinan from Branson, Missouri, and Mr. Thomas, TT, we called him. Both excellent candidates, and both of them rejected by this council. But on the 11th hour of the November City Council meeting, Graham Mitchell, who was shoehorned in, didn't even take the seat. He ended up resigning because there were skeletons in his closet. At that point, due to that vacancy, I called a special meeting, at which point we were supposed to install Mr. Malinan. But that didn't happen. Instead, we went to Art to Work. Art to Work came with skeletons also, lots of them. So much so that I refused to go and sign his employment contract. He took place in January 3rd of 2018. 19 days later, fired Sammy Joseph, or essentially sent him home on administrative leave. After he did that, then he requested to have a post-level background check done on him. The last weekend of March, he had a status update, or he didn't, but Doug White had a status update conversation with the investigator. The investigator told him, essentially, the work will never survive this background check. 4 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, Mr. DeWerk cleared his desk and left. Enter then Lori Waterman. Lori Waterman came to this whole thing and essentially was shoehorned in also. And that was one of those situations where the council, I felt, needed a useful idiot. And by God, they found one. And she was one of those that for 5.5, 6 years spent money on everything, and the council rubber stamped through. It's time for you people to put this thing on hold, take it back, do what you need to do to go and reconsider and check out what a real city manager looks like. He's sitting right next to you, Mike.
Thank you. Anybody else? Seeing nobody else coming forward, I'm going to close public comment. Any further council comments or motions? Frank had a clarification on one of the comments that was made earlier.
Yeah, I'm happy to do so, Mayor. Just regarding the comment on the appointment out of closed session, the case law supporting that section of the Brown Act as it relates to reports out requires a final action to be taken. The fact that this contract is up for tonight for a vote on the appointment and installation of your city manager underscores the fact that there has not been any final action necessitating an immediate report out on the same day. There's case law that bears this out. I'm sure this is the process that has been followed in the past. Again, if there was a appointment done before, there was no contract, and there are predicate steps that have to happen before you can have a final action, including, among other things, an offer to the candidate who may not even know that an offer is being advanced. So all of these variables have to happen before you can actually have a reportable action. So I just wanted to announce that, just make that clear.
Okay. I have some comments if you want to wait, whatever. Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you for bringing up the fact that we used a professional recruiting firm. I appreciate that. We did have a total of 61 people apply for the position. Most of them did not meet the minimum qualifications and were quickly screened out. The council is aware of whatever was in the Series Courier about Mr. Holmes' departure. We knew that at the time we interviewed him. Extensive process included interviews, background check, and reference checks, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, so just to point that out. Okay. I'm done.
Motion to approve the city manager employment agreement.
Second.
Motion by Ambrose, second by Kale. Kale?
Yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Raymond?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, thank you. Okay, so now we're on to comments from the public.
At this time, any person may comment on any item which is not on the agenda. You may state your name and address for the record, however, it is not required. Action will not be taken on an item that is not on the agenda. If it requires action, it will be referred to staff and or placed on a future agenda. Please limit comments to a maximum of 3 minutes.
Okay, so under the Brown Act, members of the public must address the city council as the legislative body of the city, not other members of the public or to staff. So I'm now opening public comment period. Do we have any speaker cards?
I
Okay,
have one speaker card for Linda Dash.
it's for items not on the agenda. Okay, just, you were surprised that you were being called up, so I just wanted to make sure it wasn't a
Well, you
duplicate.
can always go to Sacramento. You can hear me from there, okay? I'm not happy. All righty. A couple of years ago, Linda Dash, Outwater. A couple of years ago, I brought to your attention about the sewer treatment, the sewage coming from Castle Air Force Base that is coming into our treatment facilities. It's costing the taxpayers in Atwater money. There was supposed to have been an agreement between Atwater and the County of Merced. Years ago, I brought it to the attention of the old city manager, Larry Waterman, and I guess they just thought I was stupid. But we all are paying for this, and the county's not giving us much money for it. And I know that the county has to, or the city has to go out and do whatever they do and replace and repair out of our pockets, and nothing's being done. Now, I believe we have Greg Thompson, our interim city manager, started to look into it. And I think things might, be happening. But I'm just really angry at you folks because you've known about this and you've known that we've been losing money for years, millions of dollars. And you sit there and not do anything. Have a nice day.
Anybody else wish to speak?
Good evening, Mayor Nelson and Council. Chris Santos here again representing the office of Congressman John Duarte. The Congressman just wanted to personally thank the Atwater community for the amazing success we had hosting our 2024 Service Academy Information Night for the second year in a row here in Atwater at Castle Air Museum. We actually had Councilmember Kale in attendance, had about 100 people actually. We were expecting 30. So we might need a bigger room than at Castle Air Museum next year. But it's shaping up to be a really busy week in D.C. The Congressman will be participating in a markup on the Water Resources Development Act of 2024 on Wednesday. That is going to be including modifications to the Army Corps of Engineers San Joaquin River Basin Flood Control Project to include additional dredging, and also authorize about $51.5 million total in new environmental infrastructure projects across the 13th District, and add water supply as a primary mission of the Army Corps of Engineers. There's also going to be a number of multi-billion dollars Appropriations Act coming before Congress, including the Defense Appropriations Act. That's going to be providing $183.7 billion for active reserve and National Guard military personnel, which is actually $1.8 billion above the White House's budget requests. It includes an increase of 4.5% basic pay for all military personnel effective January 1st, and includes an additional 15% increase in pay for junior enlisted service members in particular. It also enhances the Department of Defense's role in countering the flow of illicit fentanyl and other synthetic opioids from coming into our country and the Central Valley's communities by allocating $1.14 billion for drug interdiction and counter-drug activities, increasing funding for the National Guard's counter-drug program, and transferring jurisdiction to U.S. Southern Command for better coordination and prioritization when it comes to affairs on the southern border. It includes $674 million in particular for counter-narcotic support, $305 million for the National Guard's counter-drug program, and actually $12 million above the White House's budget request to train and equip programs with Mexico to counter illicit fentanyl and other synthetic opioids, and transnational criminal organizations that also operate here in the Central Valley, particularly the Sinaloa and the Jalisco drug cartels. There's also going to be the Homeland Security Appropriations Act coming up for a vote this week, and regarding FEMA in particular, provides $28.4 billion for FEMA, which is $2.8 billion above last year, and this is in direct response to some of the disasters we had across the nation, including the disastrous flooding we had in 2023 in California. And it's also going to include $3.8 billion for grants, including $720 million for the Assistance of Firefighters Grant, and the SAFER Grant, or the Staffing for Adequate Fire and Emergency Response Grants, to provide resources to recruit, train, and equip first responders. So there's going to be a number of bills coming up. Of course, these are going to be very large, but we're going to keep our constituents informed, and we encourage anyone who has any questions to contact our district office and sign up for an e-newsletter as well. Thank you for your time.
Oh, you just made the cutoff there, bud. Next, somebody else? Richard?
Speak on agenda number 8, but since it's been postponed, I'll just go ahead and start. I put a copy of the table back there. Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, City staff, members of the audience. I am here tonight to voice my objection to the proposed water and sewer rates effective July 1st, 2024 through the 28th. My family and I have been residing in Atwater since 1985, and through the years, the citizens of Atwater and I have endured consistent annual rates hikes from 2004 to 2024 for a total of 300% rate increase during the period due to the expansion of sewer lines from Castle Air Force Base, Atwater Federal Penitentiary, and the relocation of the main sewer facility caused by Walmart being located next to the facility, thus requiring its relocation. Not to mention the potential bankruptcy crisis facing Atwater 2012, and of course the state and federal mandate water and sewer regulations. During this period, the consumer price index of 2004 to 2024 was only 186% versus over 300% rate increases. I also served on the Atwater Citizens Advisory Committee in 1994 when the city was facing $5 million deficit due to the Castle closure. We advised the mayor and the city council to utilize contract services for sewer facility maintenance and operations, thereby eliminating city civil workers from that department. It's my understanding we still utilize contract service agreement for the operation and maintenance of the sewer facility. Back in 2004, our water rate was $15.65 compared to $57.68 for a monthly difference of $42 increase. Sewer rate was $20.41 compared to today to $68.72 for an increase of $48.31 monthly. So my question tonight is, why must we keep enduring increases instead of finding ways to reduce costs? Because compared to other cities, they seem to be complying with the same state and federal mandates without outrageous fees that we in the city of Atwater have been faced with. I have taken the liberty of doing a cost comparison and sewer rate of 14 Central Valley cities and found that the city of Atwater has the highest combined water and sewer total monthly rates for an overall difference of $53.70 per month. As you can see by the attachment labeled cost comparison, the attachment. So my conclusion, I object to any further rate increases without reassessment to our costs in comparison with other municipalities, since they seem to have their costs and budgets within the reason to their citizens. Thank you for your time and consideration in this matter.
Thanks, Richard. Anybody else? Should hire you to be on the commercials there where those guys talk really fast. Yeah, I know you have experience. Yes, sir.
Okay, here to go and talk about the Atwater 4th of July. I want to first make a clarification to all the residents and everyone that contrary to the popular belief, the city of Atwater does not put this event on. It is solely done by the Atwater 4th of July Committee in cooperation and collaboration with the city of Atwater, who through Chief Salvador and Justin and a group of other people here make this a very successful event every year. I wanted to point out tonight also Don Martin, who had stood up here to the podium earlier this evening, is going to be our Grand Marshal in the parade this year. So I want... I just wanted to point that out, that look on the old antique fire truck and he'll be sitting up there running the siren or something, who knows. In any case, I also wanted to go and make a pitch for the Atwater 4th of July Committee. We are desperate for volunteers. We are a group of, right now, 5 to 6 people. And to put on an event of this size and scope, it takes a lot of people. And it takes a lot of sacrifice, and it takes a lot of dedication. And we need to have volunteers. So please, if you have any time to afford towards helping out with this, we need a little of everything from everybody. We need people to help park cars out at Castle the night of the event. We need people to help out at the parade, the park during the day, everything. Just, pick a job and do it. I know this is hard for people to go and sacrifice a holiday, but it is one of those things that, we've done for a number of years. And, this will be our 61st year for putting on this event. If you have any time to afford for this, please go to our Facebook Atwater 4th of July Committee and send us a personal message and we'll get back to you. And that's pretty much about it. If we can also ask, we are solely funded by donations. So if you have any extra change hanging around, it takes a lot. It's, you know, every time one of those fireworks goes up, we go, well, there goes about $800. And it's not cheap. Fireworks are not cheap. For our show, to put it on, it's right around $35,000, $40,000 fireworks alone. So in any case, please consider that, and hope to see everybody out there. By the way, our entertainment at Castle that night will be the local group Flashback. If anybody's ever heard them, they're a great group. They'll be out there entertaining you. Thanks.
Jim, real quick. I have a couple people that have hit me up about trying to do a float or a booth.
Yeah.
Who would they contact for that?
Well, it's Brad Pickle or Andrea Babty.
Okay.
Either one.
Do you have a contact number?
Andrea's contact number is 209-582-8765. Yeah, she already asked me to say something about volunteers.
Is there anybody else wishing to speak? Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, Chief of Police. My name is Dora Anderson. I've been running as Miss Atwater since 2015 in my beauty pageants. I have won 9 sashes and 15 crowns. I'm competing again this year. I just won last year Miss Galaxy Indian. This year, I'm competing as Miss Atwater African American. I was just bringing it to the city's attention because I don't want to go to New York without letting someone know that I'm still competing. I had a setback. I had a little cancer, but I'm okay because God said, no, not your turn. But I'm going back. I've been doing this since 2015. I would like to thank all the mayors that stuck with me during the years that I have participated, and Brian Raymond as well. I just want to let you guys know I'm still competing. I'm still here. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for letting us know that.
Crushing it, Dora. We're proud of you.
Thank you. And I did win this match.
Anybody else? Okay, seeing nobody else come forward, I'm going to close public comment. We'll go to council reports. We'll start with Mr. Kale.
Like I said, I was going to announce that the 4th of July committee needs help, and they can contact Andrea. And we really appreciate all they do, all that committee does for our city. I want to say, encourage everybody to use the Nail map. Last year, part of my, I put information out there, data out there, so please use that app, and we'll see what we can do to do that. And then I'd also like to thank Greg for all the things that he has done for us, sitting in this interim chair, and I appreciate what he's done and how he's worked with us all. This is a very difficult decision, to say the least. So thank you.
Danny?
Just want everyone to be safe and enjoy the upcoming holiday. What is it, next Thursday already? Yeah, it's coming up quick. Yeah. And also want to thank Mr. Thompson for everything that he has done for the city and will continue to do.
Brian?
So the 4th of July is my second favorite holiday after the resurrection of Christ. So everybody remember the freedoms and liberties that you have. Even though it seems it's all coming down on us, we're still the most liberated country in the world. And Greg, you know what I think about you. I know what you asked me, so I ain't gonna say it, but you know it.
Okay. 4th of July. I was in Livingston on Saturday. They were having their sister cities commemoration, I guess. They had 3 sister cities from Mexico, and they were in town. But anyway, they did talk about they had a drone fireworks show. It seemed like it worked out pretty good for them. It's considerably cheaper than actual fireworks, and you don't have all the loud bangs and all that kind of stuff. So maybe something for the committee to look into going forward. And I also want to thank Greg. Greg is still going to be here as our deputy city manager, and he's also still the community development director. And look forward to that. He's still under contract. Okay, with that, we are going to adjourn. Our next meeting is the second Monday in July. It will be the only meeting in July. We only have one meeting in July, so that's it. Okay, thank you very much. Good evening.